on this. Okay, so we ready to go. And I know this discussion, this is not, I'm going to edit this out, but I know this discussion is very important to you because of what I've heard you talking about in terms of Reiki and getting it out to Black people who want to either be healed by it or become healers because they don't know. So that's why it came to me. I'm like, well, listen, my YouTube channel done jumped up to over 4,000 people. Let me get my girl on. And anytime you want to have, you can nudge me and say, I got something I want to talk about. Can we do a talk about XYZ and you want to be on there to feature what you're doing? I'm totally down because now that the platform is there, let's get it popping because people need your medicine. They need what you got.
Okay? Thank you.
All right, so here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Mysteries Worldwide channel. I am your host, Mignon Grayson, and I am here today to talk to someone who is extremely phenomenal. I love this woman so much. We've been friends and, gotten to know each other over this. How has it been? About a year and a half, 2 years, maybe?
Yeah, like maybe 2 years now.
Maybe 2 years now, yeah. Right? And I just love her. And she's a phenomenal healer and coach. But today we're going to focus on her as a Reiki Master. And we're going to focus on the topic of Reiki and Reiki healing and what it does for you. She is a Reiki Master teacher and energy wellness coach for Black Indigenous women of color. And without further ado, I want to get right down to business about talking about this very juicy, wonderful topic. So anyway, welcome, Allison. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Yay, thank you, Goddess. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, we are talking about one of my favorite topics, Reiki. I never get tired of talking about it. So I'm ready. I'm here for it. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. So give an overview. What is Reiki?
Okay. So Reiki is defined as, well, first of all, it's a Japanese word, and it's defined as universal life force energy. So it's comprised of two words. You have Rei, which is the universe, and then Ki, which is the life force energy. So you put those together and you get the beautiful magic that is Reiki. And what I like to explain to people is basically you're allowing yourself to, if you are, let's say, the healer, the Reiki healer, you're allowing yourself to be the conduit, the channel of the universal life force energy to guide other people. And what you're doing is guiding their energy through the chakras, through their body. Now, if you're on the receiving end, then you are receiving the universal life force energy, which is the energy that we were all really divinely connected to at some point in our lives, usually at birth, which is why we have that nice soft spot because it comes in, spirit comes in through the ground. But being able to channel that and or receive it, it's just a really powerful thing. And Reiki is used for so much more than people realize. But the technical term, or for me to teach the term of Reiki, that's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So we're actually calling it universal life force energy to heal people. So as a Reiki healer, you are channeling that powerful divine force through you to heal others energetically. That is so deep. Okay. Wow. So where you said it is a Japanese word. So I'm assuming it comes from the Japanese culture, or you could give a little, insight. I know there's lots of ancient history and that goes behind Reiki. So I know that we know it as coming from the Japanese culture. So you want to expound on that a little bit?
Sure, love to. So, of course, Reiki, it does come from, or this iteration of Reiki comes from Japanese culture. It started with the Master Sensei Usui, or Makayo Usui, thus we get Usui Reiki. And he was a philosopher, and he was on a journey to find enlightenment and to find a better connection really to himself and to his higher power. And so he went on a quest, went on a journey for I forget how many days, don't shoot me, but I don't remember. But he was fasting, he did a lot of meditation, and thus coming into this particular journey, he was able to start to channel that energy. So that's the story, the folklore of Reiki in this way that we use it. Mm-hmm. Now, since Master Sensei Usui, there's been very different like variations of Reiki. So you have holy fire, you have Karuna Kai, you have I can't think of the word, but it's so many different forms of Reiki. You have crystal Reiki, you got money Reiki, you got all these different things. But what it all boils down to is channeling that universal life force energy. Now, as far as going beyond Japanese culture, if you think about thousands and thousands of years, if you think about in ancient Africa, whether it's on the Kemetic side, or if you go into Yoruba land, or if you go into any of those cultures, there's always been the ability to lay hands, to have healing hands, and to channel spirit. So we as Black people have to understand that even though we're learning something that we're giving the Japanese credit for and saying, it's a Japanese practice, which I'm not slighting it, because it definitely is, because a lot of the symbols, and I'm grateful for it. But we have to also recognize and know it's from the motherland. Everything starts in the motherland. And medicine men and women in the motherland, no matter which culture, which tribe, they've all been using the ability to lay hands, to channel, and all of those powerful things to bring about healing, whether it's healing for the entire community or for an individual. So, did that answer the question? Because I know
that's something to chew on right there, because that tells you that you're really calling on that root force, and that Reiki in it of itself is just the delivery method of our divine force that we're all connected to. And the form of Reiki is very, very effective in the way that it's used, and it has an organized type of way that the medicine, the energy gets to those who are being healed, and gets to the practitioner and those who are being healed. But then if you expand the whole concept, you're talking about, across the world, the different ways in which that kind of healing force is channeled through different ways. Because, when you talk about the life force, it reminds me of chi or ki. It reminds me of kundalini. It reminds me of, like you say, the laying on our hands. They call it, getting the spirit and all that kind of stuff, the Holy Spirit, and all of those different types of methods of connecting with the divine to bring forth healing for the community. And that is just beautiful, and I think that's important, especially for us as Black people, to understand, because I know that Reiki is known, but it's not a go-to healing technique for a lot of people. And so we'll go to other things, like we might go to a crystal healer, which is fine. Wherever you go, get healing, get the healing. But Reiki needs to have a little bit more of a stage within our field of what we can choose from, that is there to choose from, and to get a particular type of healing that you can't get anywhere else in that particular way.
No.
Yeah. So thank you for expanding that whole awareness, because I think the fact that it has its roots in the way it's presented in Reiki of being Japanese, that we don't have a tendency to look at it as something that's for us. And that I think that's important.
Right. And I I'm on my own personal mission to make sure that more Black people are aware that Reiki is a very good way for us to receive a lot of healing from the things that plague our communities. So, Black people, is a known fact that if there's any disease on the planet, Black Americans are number one in almost all of them, like high blood pressure, diabetes, and all these different things, on and on and on. But we know that the root cause of many of these diseases, yes, is poor diet, but a lot of those things comes from stress, being stressed about, trying to feed my family, trying to go to a job every day that I can't stand, trying to make sure we keep a roof over our heads, and so on and so forth. But the beautiful thing about Reiki is Reiki brings you back to yourself and helps you open up your energy, because we're all energy. Essentially, we are all energy, right?
Right.
So what this is doing, when I am giving you Reiki, I am channeling that universal life force energy. Thus, I'm bringing you and spirit together so that you can have a conversation throughout your body and open you up so that you can hear. The important thing that I like to stress to people when I give Reiki, and even when I teach Reiki, I'm teaching this from the standpoint of a Black woman, meaning it is very important to me when I am in session that I am calling on our ancestors, our ascended ancestors, our spirit guides. It is essential that all of those spirits are present in this healing, because if I were doing this back in the motherland, that would be so. So that is what I like to bring forth in Reiki, and you can do that. It's very interesting that a lot of Black people don't understand how powerful Reiki can be. I feel that I really am able to connect with myself, with God, and my ancestors by using Reiki, because it goes through my crown down to my roots. Every energy center in your body can be opened if it's blocked, or shifted if it needs to be shifted, and all these beautiful things that happen within our body. So that's why I love it so much, and I'm so passionate about it, because I want people to understand it's so much more than what people think of putting you in a trance and making you go to sleep for 20 minutes. It's so much more than that. You don't even really go to sleep. You're really just connecting with your higher self. That's what you're doing.
Wow. You just said so much there. The fact that, you are bringing your special way of being a Reiki healer by calling upon, because your ancestors are always there. So you kind of like allowing them to be present to heal that person, their ancestors, as well as your ancestors that are there to help you do that healing. And as a people of African descent, of Black Americans, or Black people across the world, we have that ability to tap into that ancestral line, and everyone does, but it's been a part of our culture for thousands and thousands of years, where others have let it go and are not presently, doing that. So that is so powerful, because your ancestors know they're on a non-physical level, just like the energy of the root, primordial energy. So they're there right there with it. So I mean, that's so powerful. I love that.
And they're so grateful for it. They're so grateful for it. It's the energy that I feel when I'm giving someone Reiki and I have that open invitation for them to be part of it. It's just all the better. And so it's like my ancestors, their ancestors are all coming together and circling us, encamping us, protecting us, keeping out all the negativity from interrupting this session, so that everything that spirit intends to happen in that session can happen.
Wow. So you were setting up that sacred space, that container.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you find that when that happens, that nothing really comes around and interrupt that? It like your sessions of healing, they are undisturbed because you have set up that container that keeps away anything that can, now when it's over, then everything starts flooding in.
Oh yeah.
Distractions and phone calls and bips and bleeps. But when you set that container up, nothing can penetrate it until it's time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's beautiful. So how did your journey towards Reiki, how did you become aware of it?
It's so funny. The first time I ever heard the word Reiki, I want to say it was Abiola Abrams talking, because her sister is a Reiki practitioner. And so Damali, which is her sister, was giving her Reiki, and she was describing what was happening in that session. And I was like, wow, okay, that's really interesting. And then ironically, a friend of mine, who also is, because I read Oracle cards, she also reads Oracle cards, but she's a Reiki Master as well. And so she had asked me, she was like, I'm trying to put together this package, and I'm taking this class where I have to put a healing package together that consists of the gifts that I use, the healing modalities that I use. And basically she needed a crash test for the she needed a tester for it. And so, she said, so I want you to give me feedback. I want, we'll go from A to Z on it and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Well, part of that session was Reiki. She gave me Reiki. And the interesting thing is she lives in a different state. And this was distant Reiki that she did. And the way that she did it and the way I felt during and after was amazing.
Wow.
I was like, so what was that you did again? How did you do that? Like, okay, explain this to me. Like, what's going on? What are we doing?
Yes.
And so it just really got me curious. And I was like, okay, I need to learn more about this. I was like, okay, I'm in. And I didn't need a whole lot of convincing, because I just felt it was just freaking awesome. Because number one, I felt good during, and then I felt good after. But the telltale part of it was that night I slept like a baby. Like, I didn't get up. I didn't do anything. I slept. And at that time, I was going through a lot of stressful stuff. So I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping well. I was stressed because I had just lost my my apartment, so I had to move back in with family. And that's always when you gotta humble yourself and go to stuff like that. That's never easy.
No.
And then it was just the whole thing for me of, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do now? So I was like really, really stressed, and it just calmed me. And there was calm, there was clarity, and then there was peace.
Wow.
Now, it didn't make my problems go away, but it gave me what I needed in that moment to just be able to focus and hear. And so from that, like I said, I started researching it. I started looking into it. And then the fun part came of me trying to find an instructor. Well, the interesting thing that I think most people know about Reiki is most of the people that you find that are practitioners and or teachers don't look like us. So that kind of put me on the horns of a dilemma. And I was like, I really, really want someone of color to teach me. So I did what I always do. I started praying. And I was like, okay. I said, I want to learn this. I feel like I'm supposed to do this. And I really feel passionate about it, and I know this is something that I can do and do well. I just need to just send me someone of color to do this. So I think I found 2 people. Wow. One was actually here in Atlanta. Well, when I read her curriculum, so to speak, I didn't feel right about it. I didn't like it. It didn't feel resonant with me. Not to say that she was bad, because I don't know the woman, but it just didn't resonate with me. So then I found this other woman. And this woman, interestingly enough, actually Japanese, or at least half Japanese. But she all the way in Australia.
Wow.
So I took her distance class, and the rest is history. That's the long, short version of how I got in here.
What a journey. That's incredible how spirit works. And okay, so I'm gonna roll back just a little bit to the fact that you got Reiki session distance, not even in the same place, state, distance. Yeah. And you felt the effects of it so strongly that it opened you up to the desire of wanting to become a healer in this regard because of what it did for you. That's powerful. Yeah. I mean, because it's distance. A lot of people feel like you got to be in the same room to offer healing. And the fact that it did that for you, and it brought you the peace and the calibration to a point where you could find clarity to be able to move forward when everything that you were going through. And then you sort it out, and now you are a Reiki master doing this for other people. That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the distance. I mean, or maybe let's see. I don't want to like pull it into parts and bits, but yeah, talk about the healing process and what goes on as much as you can say or want to say about it, because I know experience it is a whole nother thing than talking about it. But let's hear about that.
So I do want to talk about the distance, because a lot of people don't understand how you can get an effective Reiki healing session being in 2 different places. We have to go back to what I said earlier. We are all energy. And when you are channeling something as powerful as the universal life force energy, there's nowhere on this planet that the universe, that God, spirit can't get to you.
Okay. Can you say that one more time?
Let's go back to church for just a minute. The way the pastor always told me, my 2 praying grandmamas used to always tell me, there is nowhere on earth where God can't reach you.
Right, so, that's right.
That's the way it is. And so when I break it down that way, people understand. That's how it can be done. Because what I'm doing when I am channeling that, I'm also channeling you. I'm also channeling you. I'm seeing you in front of me just as you are, but you're in another place. Yes. But in my view, in how I am doing this, you're right here with me. We're energetically connected. So then I just do this simple prayer, is the higher self of me connects to the higher self of you. And when that happens, there's some other stuff too, but when that happens, I'm able to go through and do a healing where you can feel it, I can feel it, and you can feel the effects. Now, here's another thing though that I have to stress, and this isn't just with distance Reiki, but also in person. Just because in that session you don't feel anything doesn't mean it ain't working.
Right.
So I have to always be clear, excuse me, and stress that to people that even though we're here and we're doing this, whether it's distance or in person, just because you don't feel it, don't mean it's not happening.
That's
because what's going to happen is when you and I part, whether, we turn off Zoom and I cut the cords energetically for the both of us, so we're no longer, attached. Or if we're face to face in the same room, and still I'm cutting the cords energetically, I'm ending the session as I do with my ashe.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's done,
mm-hmm.
and you go forth with your day, you start to feel a little different. Some
Mm-hmm.
people feel like a little bit of euphoria. Some people might start to feel a little sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel like as the days progress, you'll feel a detoxing feel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why I always stress to people, make sure you're drinking water.
Yes.
I don't care if you don't like water, make sure you're drinking it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're hydrating.
That's right.
And then also make sure you're not doing things like, going and getting Reiki and then going and getting you a double cheeseburger with bacon,
Right.
something like that. You want to stay with the integrity of it, because it is essentially a detox.
Yeah.
And you will feel that detox one way or another.
Right.
And then sometimes you'll show up where, because again, everyone is different, and I feel like I'm going all over the place, but there's so much. When you go to bed, I always stress, put a journal by your bed, because you may start to have some vivid dreams. And if you can remember it, write it out. Even if it don't make sense, write it out, because I promise you it'll make sense later. But your dreams will be very vivid, not a nightmare, but vivid, colorful, like HD on steroids, vivid dreams.
Wow.
So but all it's doing is it's unlocking all of the gunk and saying, okay, let's do a mind dump. You've had all this and you don't have clear mind. So now we're doing a dump. We're getting all that stuff up out of there. We're getting out of your mind. We're getting it out of your heart, because your heart got so much energy in there going into your sacral, and all that wound stuff you're carrying around is getting all that. So it's essentially there's a scrub brush going down every chakra, and it's manifesting in your dreams, and that's why it's vivid.
Wow.
That's just the way it is. But that is what happens in the after of it. So, but yeah, going back to the whole distance thing, you will still have a great experience, whether I'm right there next to you physically, or I'm right there next to you energetically. The experience is the same. It's the same. I used to say I prefer to just do it in person, but as I've evolved in this all the more, I don't mind doing either one, because it's powerful no matter how you do it. As long as the intention is set, as long as the person that is receiving Reiki is open, then they'll get what they need. They may not always get what they want, but they'll get what they need.
Right.
And that's the beautiful part about spirit, period. Whether it's Reiki, giving somebody a reading or whatever, you don't always get what you want.
Right.
You definitely don't get what you need.
When it comes to healing, that's the bottom line of it all. And the fact that you brought up that with Reiki healing, you will feel a certain type of detox. Like you said, everybody's different, and how that shows up is different. But that's such an important part of healing. People sometimes feel that healing is, especially when you're dealing with energy, it's supposed to be like wave a magic wand, whoop, 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 and that you don't feel anything or have to go through anything in order to affect the healing, or for the healing effect to come in. And detoxing is one. It's the physical, we all know about detox now, physical detox and the spiritual detox and the mental detox. All of that has to happen for healing on all those different levels.
Yes.
To be a complete healing. And it's periodic, because we take on things. It's just like, having to take a bath every day. What you pick up the gunk throughout the day. So you got to wash it off. So the same with energy healing. And one thing I wanted to make sure that I said is that in my belief system, and I've seen it happen over and over again when I've studied things about healing energetically, is that it starts as in an energetic way before any physical ailment starts in an energetic sense prior to it actually landing in your body to start to deteriorate the body parts. So you want to catch it energetically, that you don't want it landing in your body. So a periodic energetic healing and cleansing such as Reiki help to keep those diseases from settling into your physical body, because you're catching them on the astral plane, the energetic plane before it even comes into your body. So because our body is just one form of who we are. We have different, all kinds of levels of ourselves as a spirit that is just functioning through this body. So you want to catch that. So I just wanted to add that piece. And that's why energy healing is so important. And that's why Reiki is so important in the form that it comes. Because I've heard some miraculous things. I just talk with you. I got to set my session up with you. I was thinking it before, but now that I hear the way you explain it, it's gonna happen sooner than later, because and especially from you, because you're a healer just naturally, and the love that you have in your heart for people and and healing is just comes through in everything that you do. So so I'm coming, sis. Look out for that call. Set that appointment.
Yes. Can I just add one thing that you said that was really important, of how it starts in energy and it'll manifest, and find and put a plan together to be able to continue that process of breaking up and flow, which essentially that's what I call my sessions. Balance and flow, because within balance there is flow. Beautiful woman that we both know by the name of Ming explained something so profound that I stole it and I use it all the time. She said, people think balance is this, that is streamlined. But if you go into a hospital and you see this, you're dead. That's the flat line. We don't want no flat line. We don't want that. True balance flows. It moves. It's energy. It's ebb. It's flow. There's a beginning and end. There's the middle. There's gray. There's all these beautiful parts to it. So balance never is even Steven. No matter what people try to tell you, that's not what balance means. So that's why I call my sessions balance and flow, because when you have true balance, you find flow. So
I love that. Yes, it's so true. Yeah, people have that mindset of balance means you just that's it. No, it's that flow. Yes, that's thank you for adding that, because that is so true. So, and periodically, if people want to set it, they might want to think about setting it to their cleansings, their Reiki healing sessions, either the change of the seasons once a month, maybe in the beginning, if they have a serious illness, it would be maybe weekly or something like that. So what would your recommendations? I don't mean for a particular illness, but let's say someone has something that's chronic. How often do you feel that they should try to receive Reiki?
I'm an advocate of listening to your body. Let's say someone is, going through chemo. I would say, for as long as you are going through chemo, try to balance that out with a Reiki session. So maybe you can do it, if you can tolerate it weekly, do it weekly. If you can tolerate it every 2 weeks, do it that way, but don't just do a one and done. Yes, it helps you kind of break up the energy and kind of come down from having all of the stress that all of that medication and all that puts on your body. So that's kind of how you would do that. Now, as far as if you're someone, maybe you just want to do things in cycles, I love giving full moon Reiki. I give
Mm.
myself Reiki on full moons. I love it. Um, so you can do that, or maybe if you want to do it with any of the equinoxes, like fall equinoxes coming up, and you're like, okay, so maybe I want to, get my body prepared for harvest time, or whatever, because maybe you're trying to manifest some stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. So it just depends on the person. But if you feel like that's something that is of interest to you, to set yourself up to begin the process of removing some blocks, you need a little clarity, maybe you need help in focusing, or maybe you're just like, you got a lot of stuff on your heart, you need to forgive, and that's weighing you down. And Black women, hear me and hear me well. We die of heart disease, and most of our heart disease stems from the broken heart, the trauma of a broken heart. We got to break up that energy.
Yes.
We got to break up that energy, because if it's happening here in the heart, guess what? It's also happening in the womb space. Because we carry a lot in our womb space too. So we got to break all of that up so that we can stop it from manifesting into something more serious.
Wow. Yes. All right. The importance of healing and constantly making sure that you are taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love, putting yourself first, and incorporating Reiki and all types of healing, practices on a regular basis. As like you said, as Black women, we put everybody first and we hold everything. We feel we got to have this, exterior that's strong. I can go on no matter what. Nothing's going to break me. I am not going to let anything or anybody, take advantage of me or shut me down or stop me. And, but we need that healing along. That's okay if that's what you want to do, but you got to make sure you get healed and you take care of yourself so that you can be that constantly. Yes. But, it's so important because we do hold a lot of stuff in our hearts, and that's something that you said to me. If it's in your heart, in your womb space, wow, I can see that. I can definitely see that. So, how does one become a Reiki healer? I mean, you said the process, but I know that you have some classes coming up. So what's that about? You train people to become Reiki healers.
Yes, I do. So my course is actually called Embody the Reiki Master Within. And I call it that because we are all healers essentially. But becoming a Reiki master, that's a calling that a lot of people have. Oh man, I go through and I look at so many people on like my Facebook and Instagram, and it's like I'm intuitive and I'm like, you're supposed to be in my class. But it's like I don't, just go up and say, hey, you're supposed to be in my class. But you can sign up for those courses, whether it's with me, because I believe in, go to where it's right in the line for you. But if you feel like I'm the one that you're right in the line with, then December is when the course is going to launch again, because right now I got a course going. And so I try to give myself a break, and everything. So then December will be the next class that starts. So enrollment will probably start in November, and then, it starts in December. So, you take a class, and in that class, you get something that's called an attunement. And the attunement basically is getting you attuned to, getting you open for being able to channel and do the Reiki symbols, which is essentially what we're doing. We use symbols, and that's how the healing comes forth, because every symbol has a different meaning and is used for a different thing. So I'm teaching you the symbols. I go through all Reiki levels of 1, 2, and Master. Sometimes you'll find it where somebody will just teach Reiki 1 by itself or 2 by itself, or they'll put 1 and 2 together and leave Master level. I learned all three together, so that's how I teach it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, some people might criticize me, and they have. And to them, I say, you got your calling, I got mine.
Exactly.
So I teach all three levels. We go through every one. I teach you the symbols. I go through demonstrations with you. It's live and not live. The live part is basically us meeting every week so that we can review, we can ask questions, we can go through the lessons. I'll go through them and just kind of give you a quick go through, make sure nobody has questions. We do demonstrations together to make sure that you are understanding and grasping. Then you have other courses where you'll go live with them for 3 or 4 days, and then bibbidi bobbidi boo, you got a certification. I don't really like those because I think it can't be a crash course. It's a process. It's definitely a process, and it should be respected as such. So that's basically how you get your certification. You find a class that resonates and you take it, and that's it. And you get certified.
All right. Well, that's good. So where can people find you?
So if you go to any of my social media, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse. I'm Allison Rozzel everywhere. I made it really easy. So that way people be like, what is her thing called again? Honey, just go Allison Rozzel. I'm there. You can't miss me. But yeah, especially if you go to my Instagram, because if you go to the link in my bio, you'll see that I have a page just for my academy, which is called the Sacred Pathway Academy, which is where you will embody the Reiki Master within. And I have other offerings, some stuff in the works to help really with the energy healing for people who want to become Reiki masters and really, do this as a business, or if they want to start learning things about home blessings and space clearings using Reiki that way. So I'm really starting to incorporate this into everything that I'm offering, because I want to make sure that I help grow.
Yes.
That I help you grow in this and not just give you a certification and say, see ya.
I love that.
I don't want to do that. I want you to grow, and I want to be part of that growth if you want me to be part of that growth. But go to Instagram. That's one of the best places to find me on. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. So what is there anything else that you want to add about Reiki, its importance, or anything else that you're doing? Because you're doing a lot of wonderful things.
I'm so passionate about Black women really feeling at home in their bodies and allowing themselves to be connected to their bodies, and understanding who they are and whose they are. So Reiki is a powerful tool to make that happen. This particular program is a 30-day program. So if you want to go the route of getting coaching from me, just know Reiki is going to be part of it. It's in everything I do. Because it's just that important to me, right? I can't see a way of me calling myself a healer without including Reiki in some point in time, because it's just that important to me. It's not just something that I do, it's who I am. I've told the story, I've got it on my YouTube channel of how Reiki changed my life. It did. I'm a person who suffers from, anxiety and panic attacks. And thankfully, I have a tool that now I can use when I start to feel that coming on to help me break up the energy. And then I can check in with my body and be like, okay, is this mine, or am I taking on something else that doesn't belong to me and it needs to go? It gives me the ability to be more tapped in and tuned in with my body. For the people who always say, I can't hear my ancestors. I can't hear spirit when spirit is talking. Guess what? if you give me an opportunity to break up all that energy that's in you by giving you Reiki, you're going to hear it. Because that's how I hear it.
Wow.
So,
look at that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I hear a lot of people saying that. I hear a lot of people saying that. Well, how do you know they're talking to you? You know, I can't hear them, or, you know, yes. So that's important if you want to have your energetic field healed to the point where you can tap into your ancestors and your spirit guides.
Yeah.
You know, that's worth it in and of itself, even if you don't have like an ailment per se. You just need those energetic, you know, tweakings and tune-ups and cleansings and clearings in order for that to happen. Wow, that's great. All right.
So if you want more information, just hit me up and we'll put something together, and yeah, we'll make it happen.
That is really awesome that you have all those resources going on, you know, right there in your offerings. And it's so important to those who want to be healers on the healing path, that they can reach out to you and, you know, and get some of that healing going on.
Yes.
Well, Allison, it is absolutely amazing and awesome to speak with you today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your talents and what it is that you do. I think it's something that people need to know. And I'm glad that you agreed to speak with me today and share all of that. And Allison's contact information is located in the comments. So if you want to reach out to her, you should reach out to her. Check her information out in the comments. And then I want to have you back here to talk about some of the other things that you're doing as well. If you like this video, please like it by hitting the like button, subscribe, and share for others that need to know. All right, until next time, peace.